When creating my media products, I used a range of new media technology that I hadn't used so much before. The first of which I used for the research stage was Netflix and YouTube. I used Netflix to watch horror films so that I got a gist of the storyline and the plot, so that I knew stuff that could inspire my own plot. I also used YouTube and Netflix to watch trailers of new, upcoming and old classic horror films such as Carrie, Psycho, and some newer ones such as Hush, The Purge, so that I got a gist of the conventions and I was able to note these quickly so that I was able to include them in my own work, as I saw that they were effective in real media texts that already existed. I then used a DSLR camera to interview people, asking them what they expected to see in a horror film. And a lot of them said heavy breathing, as that's quite a strong convention that I didn't think about previously. And this helped me out, as I could have missed out that convention, which could have cost me deeply eventually in the end. So I'm glad that I did that, as it gave me good feedback. I also messaged my friends using iMessage and WhatsApp, asking them what worked well with the poster and what needed improvement with the magazine and stuff like that, so that I was able to gain feedback that way too, and then I could make the minor improvement that they suggested. In construction, I again used a DSLR Canon camera. This time it was used to take pictures for the poster and magazine, and also used to film for the trailer. So we filmed different parts using the same camera, but at one point we swapped over the lenses using a 70 to 300mm lens, which is about this long and zooms a lot further than the normal lens that we were using, which was just an ordinary one. This zoom lens allowed us to create a voyeuristic film in one of the shots that we shot. We shot Holly at the window from outside, and we wanted it to appear as if somebody was watching, looking in on her, and this lens allowed us to zoom just close enough that it captured her in focus and nicely as if she was being watched, so it created a voyeuristic feel as we wanted it to. We then used Photoshop in order to manipulate the photos and images, and also create the poster and magazine and their layouts, which worked really quite effectively as a software, as I was comfortable with it, as I used it last year, which meant that I was able to use it better. However, this time I used different pieces of it in different aspects, such as I focused more on the colour and concentration of the image and was able to boost it or decrease it when it needed to be decreased or increased to make it appear better, such as the mask. I made the mask look more luminescent and like creepy in the background, as before it looked a bit bland and a little bit plain, and you nearly lost sight of the mask, which would have lost some of the horror appeal. We then used Premiere Pro CC and added in all of the clips that we had previously shot and edited them all together. So we made transitions. We used quite a lot of fast cuts, as we found that was a common convention. And then we added in a soundtrack that we found royalty free on YouTube. As it was royalty free, this meant that it wasn't copyrighted and we didn't have to ask for permission. So we could just use it in our work easily and quickly. We also added a sound effect that we filmed using the voice memo on an iPhone, voice memo app, yeah. And then we emailed the sound to ourselves and then embedded it in the work that we'd already created, and the sound was a scream, and it was so much easier to film it afterwards, as trying to sync it up in filming didn't really work out very well. So it was just easier and more effective to film it and then add it, to record it and then add it in afterwards. We got the fonts that we used from dafont.com, as well, as it has a large variety of fonts that are effective and can be used in many different ways. To evaluate, I again used the voice memo app on my iPhone, and this time emailed it to myself to upload onto SoundCloud, as a lot of them were just me speaking and evaluating my work with my voice. So I uploaded that on SoundCloud and then embedded that onto my blog. I did this again, except I created a video using Movie Maker at one point, using stills of the editing and then using my voiceover that I'd recorded on my phone to explain what was happening in the changes and what I'd done with the editing, so that it was easier and more thorough. I'd explained it with my voice rather than trying to type it. To present, I also used Emaze, Piktochart, SlideShare, Prezi, YouTube and PowerPoint at some points, which I used to embed my work on Blogger afterwards. I presented my work on these different softwares and then I blogged afterwards about them, embedding their HTML codes so that they could work effectively on my blog.